Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies, episode number 87. Well, $100 bill here.
Morning, Bill.
How are you?
I'm good.
Pete, the
I don't know.
Class 5 rookie.
Yeah, sure.
And Naomi, the deal maker.
Naomi, the deal maker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should change that a little bit.
President Freeman.
I told her the other day when I called her up, I said, I decided that your name is a really good name for a president because her last name is Freeman.
Oh, sure. Sure, that's Freeman.
So all week when I call her, I
minute.
say, can I speak to the president, please?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm beginning to like your thought here.
But, no, you'll do that. You know what's going to happen? You get down the road, someone's going to say, it should be free woman.
That's already happened, but then I say, no, I'm not free.
Okay.
We'll sneak out the back door on that political joke.
Bang, get out. Take a left quick.
So first of all, I want to thank the two of you very much for being here today because we physically do this podcast. We're not one of those that like Skype around and, you know, we have a visitor. We were supposed to have a visitor from one of my students from Las Vegas today, but I completely screwed that up yesterday.
The weather screwed it up.
Yeah, because we are in March and literally and I have to apologize to both my kids because I was bitching about the weatherman yesterday saying, even you, I'm like, that's bullshit, man. They're saying we're supposed to get 2 feet of snow, but they're saying it's going to be 37 degrees. Obviously, it went down 5 degrees because we got 2 feet of snow. Right?
Did you get 2 feet of snow up here? It didn't look like
No,
that
some
much.
cities did. We're around a foot around most areas.
When
But
I
a
went
good
out
foot.
this morning, there was around the car. There was two. I mean, it was up to almost my knees.
Wow.
Yeah, you're officially
Wow.
13 inches in Wallingford.
13.
In New Haven, it
officially.
was about 5 inches.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
11.
Huh.
My area.
Yeah, that's because New Haven's a liberal town. They always got to do things conservative, you know. How was that?
Wait a minute. You said liberal conservative.
Exactly.
Political statements slinging
No, Bill,
around
has nothing to
all
do with it
over
being
the
by the
place
shore.
here.
All right,
being
the hell with all this jibber jabber. Let's get on
Let's,
it.
hell
we're going to
with
do
it.
the
Number
show.
87. Can you pass this real estate investor test? Episode number 87. Can you pass this real estate investor test? And here's what I put in Facebook. Which, by the way, we live stream every Thursday morning. This morning we're not. Normally we do it at 9:30. This morning we started at 10:30, actually 10:45 because of the snow. And again, thank you guys for being here because I know you kind of had to wrestle the car. And
Yeah, we had to dig ourselves out. You
all that
should have
kinda
seen me
crap.
this morning. 2 feet high of packed, dense, wet snow.
from the plow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I plowed through that.
Emma told me this morning, she's like, I said, I get the car out. She's like, Dad, the snow's up to the bumper. So I said to her, thinking's overrated, Emma. So I went out there, I came back in, and I said to her, I started the car up. I cleaned out the back windshield, so the back window so I can see.
Yeah.
I got in the car, let it warm up. I put it in reverse, and I just put the gas right to the mat. I came out of the driveway. I had no idea if somebody was coming. I was doing about 80 miles an hour, plowing through the snow. Bloop, 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 bloop. And I got out on the street, and that's all I cared about. And then I cleaned the car off. She's got the mic over there. She was ready to defend herself.
No, I thought you were going to bring up the fact that I was smart and went out at 10 o'clock last night and undug my car before it all froze and
Yeah,
got
exactly.
dents and crap.
Yeah, that was smart.
Definitely.
All right, good. Episode number 87. Can you pass this real estate investor test? The Facebook description was written this way. Here we go. Do you flip houses for cash? Or maybe have a mad passion to flip houses for cash? Please take a moment and listen to this podcast and take the test to see if you are actually qualified for the task. Taking advice. Nope, I skipped a line. If you are actually qualified for the task. Then find out how these cats you have been taking advice from is like taking drugs from a drug dealer. And you don't even know it. You may commit murder after you hear this podcast. How's that for drama?
That's very dramatic.
You want me to read it again?
It's almost
No,
like,
it's
no,
scary.
it's
We
not so
got it.
dramatic.
You
It's
did good.
I did good?
You read it goodly.
I did?
Yeah.
I skipped the
Goodly.
line.
Well, you fixed it.
Yeah.
grammar, please.
Yeah, well, I made it in an adverb, didn't I?
Goodly. That's pretty dramatic.
What's dramatic about
The murder.
Well, it ends
part.
with murder.
it? Yeah.
It ends with murder.
Well, if you flip a house, don't you want cash in the end?
Yeah.
So, what's your point? $100 bill?
Does anybody notice that we're color coordinated today?
Yes, I noticed
Did we
that.
do? Did we get it?
She's come on now. Let's stay on tune here.
was
Come
it-
on.
How was it?
We
bla-
don't care about the colors. We're talking about
What happened?
houses.
Oh, she. Maybe.
Stay focused, you two.
Oh, we're doing the show in under an hour today.
Yeah.
We're getting right to the point.
All right. So the point is murder. Who done it?
Who done it? Well, it says, do you flip houses for cash or maybe have a mad passion to help to flip houses for cash? Right? So it's either you flipped houses and you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are, you're going to realize what we're going to talk about today is so real. It's pathetic. Because once you start getting multiple houses, Peter, you realize that the cash is not everything. Okay? Actually, the first description I wrote, which we'll do next week, is that most flippers have two major faults. It's called fear and greed. We'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
Because most major flippers have the emotions, the highest emotions they have is fear and greed.
I'm already on the edge of my seat. I don't know if
It's
we
true.
can wait until next week like this. No, so
So please take a moment and
Mad
listen to this
passion.
podcast and take the test, which we'll do right away. I won't hold you in suspense on the test till the end. Normally I would do that, wait till the end, but we'll do it right away because there's so much to talk about. Take the test to see if you actually qualify for the task of being a house flipper, right? And then take it, and then realize that you're taking advice. So find out how these cats you've been taking advice from is like taking drugs from a drug dealer. And when you find out what they're doing, I mean, they're like you're on drugs and you don't even know it. And when
Yeah.
you find out what they've been doing to destroy you in your career, you want to commit murder. You're going to want to kill them. And I don't mean that, I'm talking, figuratively.
right. Not literally.
They aren't
Everybody.
going to be. I'm not responsible. I could see it now. The FBI knocking on the door. You've been telling people all over the nation that they need to kill people, and all of a sudden they're doing it. Right?
Not responsible for the actions.
There's a
of
disclosure
any-
here. What do they do with earnings disclosures? Not everybody you're listening to is capable of making this amount of money. However that is.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the test?
Let's hear
Peter,
Yes, sir.
I want you to take the test.
Okay.
Okay.
First answer is yes. Second, well, go ahead.
Did you see the questions?
No. No.
He
I'm
has
just
a
gonna-
50% chance, yes or
I'm
no.
going to say yes sometimes. I'm going to say no sometimes.
It's
Because there's probably no right answer knowing you. Like, it's a trick.
There's no trick.
Ooh,
Okay.
What does that mean?
little bit of passive aggression there.
Yeah, there was a little unexpressed resentment there, for sure.
Knowing you.
6 questions.
All right.
Here we go. Question number 1.
Okay.
Now this is to see if you can pass, right? So can you pass this real estate investor test?
Well, geez, I better. I've got 2 houses now.
Question number 1.
Yes.
Do you have a high 700 credit score or higher?
Yes.
Okay.
And no. How can 2 reporting agents have such a difference? There's a huge discrepancy in my scores.
Question number 2.
Yes.
Do you have 20% down for a purchase?
Not anymore, man.
Okay. Question number 3. Do you have about 5 or 6 hours per day for the MLS?
Oh, no. And hell no.
Question number 4. Did you spend about $30,000 on training for flipping houses?
No, I called you.
It
Cost me $30,000 some other way, I think, but
I was thinking I paid the $30,000. Question number 5. Did you quit your job so you can do this full time?
uh-uh.
Question number 6. Have you built your team? You know, your LLC, insurance guy, and attorney, and etc.
Yes.
Okay. Did he pass the test, Naomi?
I think you're in progression there.
In progression?
I would say no, but
Well, I
Right,
think
so
some
let
of
me-
those questions you don't want to have a yes.
right.
And I think some of those it's okay to have a
True.
yes.
If you said
True.
no to any one of the above, you flunked the test
To be a what?
to be a real estate investor.
What kind of real estate investor?
There you go.
Yeah, what kind? Because
There we go.
I thought I was pretty good having some of those answers. No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm
Right.
not doing that.
Because
that's not the kind of real
that's
estate
what
investor.
we're all about, is overcoming all of those hurdles that you just stated.
Wait a minute! You just did the punchline for the show.
Oh, shoot.
She's fine. So let me repeat the questions, okay?
Sure. You try it,
And
Naomi.
then we'll deliberate.
I would
Can
flunk.
she do it?
I would flunk as well. I'll tell you
So
right
here
now.
are the questions. So the folks that are listening can pull over in their car or stop exercising or whatever they're doing while they're listening to this podcast and write them down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes.
Number 1. M.
Uno numero.
You want to put these questions in the Facebook page? Can you type them? Is that all right? She's giving me the look like.
Pulling up my text.
Number 1.
She smiled.
Yeah. Jesse will be on the podcast in a minute and tell her, "Rah, rah, rah," and then they'll be like, the two of them will be like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah."
Well, Jesse has an excuse.
Her sister. Ready? Okay, number 1. Do you have a high 700 credit score, in parentheses, or higher?
Do you? Come on.
Huh?
Come on, do you?
Or higher.
Oh, you're asking me.
No, I'm giving him the Emma.
I'm
but
asking
he,
you.
he wants you to answer the questions.
I answered. You should answer.
I don't feel like answering.
Sit, chicken.
Well, I tell you the truth. I have a high 700 credit score, and then I go whack all my credit lines to buy a house, and then it goes down to 500. And then it goes, when I pay them all off, that goes back up to 700.
But
Seriously.
Well, that's what happened to me. Everything's in 7, and one of them went crazy into 600 because of my houses and stuff. The other one's still in 700, so figure that. Does it go down faster than come up? Does it come up?
Yeah,
Doesn't
totally,
it?
yeah.
It goes down fast and comes up slow. Yeah, okay.
I mean, with all my
This is
credit
not
cards and
fair.
my credit lines right now, I probably got $200,000 hawked right now. But that's because I'm like swinging.
Mm-hmm.
You know. All right, got it, M? Okay, good. Question number 2. Do you have 20% down for a purchase?
Nope.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you do, don't tell me because you shouldn't be using it for real estate. You don't need money for real estate. Okay, Em? Number 3. Do you have about 5 to 6 hours per day for the MLS?
Nope.
You're recuperating from
Okay.
it.
Number 4. Did you spend about $30K on training to flip houses?
And we know people who did.
Yep.
Notice they're not any further than the ones who didn't.
Yeah, they come to me for coaching.
Yeah, I thought you were kidding. The first day I called you, you said, yeah, that happened. I didn't disbelieve you, but I've actually seen it too many
Yeah.
times. And it's sad because they're not doing well.
Okay, Em?
It doesn't solve
Right,
the real problems
right.
that they have.
Number 5. Did you quit your job so you can do this full time?
Nope.
I know somebody who did. Yeah.
Are they
And
doing
number
it?
6.
Yeah, good.
Have you built your team, in parentheses, LLC, comma, insurance guy, comma, attorney, comma, etc. Close parentheses. And then we're going to start chit-chat. Why don't you take those and put them in the Facebook group, okay?
Insurance guy, I lost you there.
Insurance guy, comma, attorney, comma, etc. etc. dot, close parentheses.
Some people pay well over 40,000 even for training.
So if you're listening to this
Oh, yeah.
podcast and you want to see these questions, go to facebook.com and then go to Flipping Houses for Rookies and you'll see today's podcast. We're actually in the podcast center here, our big recording studio. Yeah, no, not really. You'll see that Emma has the questions posted in Facebook. Okay, so let's rock. You ready?
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about who made these rules. Who's telling us that we need to have these 6 things? Because first of all, I want to clarify: is it real when you guys started to think about doing some real estate investing? were these things that you ran into like almost everywhere?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The last one for sure. Like, you have to have all these people on your team, you get the LLC and all that. Yeah, that had me a little spinning because I'm on my own.
Yep.
And like, when do I need it? Do I need it now? Do I need it? How fast do I need it? And that was annoying.
Right.
Because
Right.
you take the attention off of what you really need to be doing.
Yep.
Right. Right.
All right. So, do you feel like you needed to have a credit score? I mean, before you met me.
I hadn't thought about it, actually.
Okay. Well, you
Well, let's put it
thought
this
that you
way.
had to get money, right?
No, well, let's put it. No, I personally didn't want to have to come up with my own money.
So, but you did
Yeah.
think it. I might have to come up with my own money.
I'd have to come. Yeah,
The general impression out there is you have to be rolling in the dough.
Right.
You know, you say, "Oh, I'm a real estate investor," and you know,
Right.
And it's much more about the knowledge than the.
Right. So let's talk about what Naomi just said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because the first misnomer is I'm a real estate investor. What's the definition of an investor?
Yeah. Well, investor is a person who puts money into the projects. That's the money. That's the guy
Money
you
or
go.
time or knowledge.
Well,
Doesn't have to be money,
I don't have to pull my phone.
but it
dictionary to
turns
see
into
that.
money.
Yeah. But I think the common thing is go get an investor to invest. Somebody to invest in the stock market, they just hand money over.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually. I think it's usually money.
But some people that invest money in the stock market are not investors.
Mm-hmm.
Some
they give it
people
to
are
an-
just
yeah.
right.
They just give it to the guy to invest for them, but that's what they're trying to do. Bill, help us.
So I don't have the dictionary. Oh, I have a regular dictionary here. So the point that I'm making is that just what Peter's saying is the connotation that the investor actually has the money.
Right.
So it's like, and we talk about this all the time, right? Or
It's
we
the
have been
general-
talking about is that you need to call yourself a professional home buyer, because if you call somebody up and you say, I just wrote an email about this the other day.
Mm-hmm.
You say, oh, I'm a real estate investor. I don't want to talk to you. You want to buy too low,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah. But also think about guys who do huge deals, like commercial deals, like they put a whole condominium
Mm-hmm.
project in.
Yeah.
My town, West Hartford, put like 2 blocks of buildings, like 4 blocks,
Yeah.
buildings and restaurants, Blueback Square, and stores, 2 blocks all at once. You don't have that money in your pocket. You don't have 20% of that. Somebody figures it out, and they go get money from somebody
Absolutely.
else. That's so. If people
Absolutely.
realize that it's done that way,
Right.
commercial on a
Knowledge.
big scale, well, what about on a small scale?
Yeah.
Why do you have to have? Why do you have to have your own money? But I have talked to seniors, guys
Yeah.
my age or older. They spent their life coming up with the 20%, buy one property. 5 years later, another 20%, buy another property,
Right.
and it's paying itself down.
Right.
And they wind up with 5 properties, single or 2, 3 families.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're 65 and they
Yep.
retire, they're paid off because they had been at it for 30 years, chipping away.
Yeah.
And their whole lives, they had vacation if they had money, like from their job,
Mm-hmm.
and just chipping away.
Yeah.
And they're going to have the cash flow someday from that.
Yeah.
But they won't let go. They won't sell them. They just hang on a little longer. Their knees are shot. Their backs are shot.
So just let's go back to what
So
Naomi said.
People do that. It's rough, and it doesn't. You don't make money now. You wait for someday when you're old, and then you're dead,
Yeah.
or you don't make it that long.
Got it.
He's clearly been dealing with people that. Okay.
That was last year, 3 or 4 in a row. I said, I'm not talking to old guys anymore.
So there's actually 2 definitions of an investor, and this is the reason why I'm so picky about words, because it depends on how you're using the word. So the first one is to use, in parentheses, money to acquire an interest in existing properties or to create new properties for the purpose of producing profit or income. So the first definition is to use, in parentheses, money to acquire an interest in existing properties or to create new properties for the purpose of producing profit or income. Then the second definition is to expand or devote something as time, effort, or money, especially for personal advantage or merit.
Mm-hmm. Time, effort, or money.
So I've invested myself in this project.
Right.
I've
Right.
invested myself in this podcast. I've invested myself in, or you have invested in me,
Right.
because you're training and you're getting paid, but that's not as much as you can with real estate.
Right. Right.
Or you could say, I invested in that property. Like we
Right.
just invested in the 2-family house that we just bought. So we used money to acquire the property, right? To create new properties or create new opportunities to make profit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
and then when you look up, the interesting thing is the word investor
Mm-hmm.
isn't by itself. It's a noun of investing.
Mm-hmm.
So invest is actually a transitive verb, but an investor is a noun. So it's somebody that's doing what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to get into this over the radio, but there's other definitions to like endow or furnish as with power, authority, or privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Number 4, to formally install in an office, rank, or position. I have no idea how that's used. I have to figure that out later.
Like if somebody becomes a corporal or sergeant, he's invested maybe as a.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Number 5 is to endow as with qualities or attributes. And number 6 is to cover, envelope.
Envelop.
Envelop, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, envelop. Like the fog invested the harbor.
Wow. Don't hear that used that way very often.
No.
Yeah, they can have more than meaning than one.
So using the word investor has a lot of meaning to it.
A lot of meaning.
So when we talk conventionally, right, and we talk about, being an investor, the guy that has the money is like takes what's the word I want? He's like oh my God, I'm lost for words. He's like
He's like a capitalist?
no, but he's like takes oh my God. Let me get it figured out here. So takes offense to the guy that doesn't have money that's trying to buy the property.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So now let's go down through the list here. So these rules, let's just put it together instead of I'm going to stop mucking around with it. These rules are coming from these folks. So these have to have a high credit score, 20% down for a purchase. You got to spend 5 or 6 hours on the MLS a day. And if you think I'm nuts, man, I got student clients that do that all the time. They'll spend 24 hours a day on the MLS looking for houses and then evaluate them, go look at them, all that kind of stuff, and then make the offer. It's so backwards, okay? And then they got to spend time for training, which, by the way, if you haven't spent $30,000 for training, you'll spend that in mistakes or you'll spend that in training.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter which way you do it. You pick which one it is.
Right.
It's either going to be, like Ron LeGrand says, you think training's expensive, try inexperience.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then, the part about quitting your job, I put that in there because once you start getting the project, you got to meet the contractors and you got to do all this stuff, and it's usually during the day. You're not going to do it at night.
Mm-hmm.
All the closing is not going to be at 5 o'clock at night or on a Saturday. It's going to be during the day.
It's gonna be, yeah.
The insurance guy is not going to have you call him at 7 o'clock at night when you get out of work.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to, if you don't quit your job, it's going to disrupt your 40-hour work week.
Right.
Right. And then they tell you got to build a team. You have to have an attorney. You have to have a insurance guy. You have to all this stuff, right? So who's telling you all these things? The realtor, number one.
The attorneys.
The banker. The banker's the one
Yes.
that started all of this, because who
benefits?
They make the most amount of money.
Yeah.
You take a mortgage for $200,000 for 30 years. It's damn close to $600,000 if you go the full 30 years that you pay them. So they triple their money, right? Triple their money.
Not
And
to
the
mention
stupid thing
the
is-
derivatives market.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The stupid thing is they got the money from free for the government because they only printed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then they make us think that if we don't pay them, that they owe us the money. When really what happened was we borrowed $100,000 and the government gave them $1 million. They were 10 times paid their profit,
Right.
and now they want to chase us for the money. Not that we.
I
don't.
just had a brilliant idea. Maybe we should become the banks.
we
I mean,
do. We are in our deals. Okay, so who makes these rules? The realtor, the banker. How about the attorney or the closing
Yeah.
agent?
oh yeah.
Right, you have to do all this stuff, right? How about the insurance guy?
Everybody that benefits from it makes those rules.
How about the title company?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there's others. How about the inspectors? You know, there's-
Definitely the inspectors.
You know, so the people that spread these rumors that you need to have a 700 credit score, you need to have 20% down, you need to go on the MLS and find the properties because that's the only way to find them or the easiest way to find them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those rumors, right? You have to have attorneys and teams, and you got to have an attorney in Connecticut. You got to have an attorney to close, or some other states you got to have a title clerk,
Yeah.
right? So aren't these the people that are like creating these rumors? I mean, I know we've covered this on a past podcast, but I've never done it. And I mean, I did
Quite this, yeah.
the test thing I did on email, and I had raving reviews. So what I've been doing recently is I write emails to my list every day, and the ones that get the most amount of open rates are the podcasts, because that's what people want to hear. It's kind of like I do a survey first.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so this was a high open rate because people wanted to know what the test was. So now we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we can end the show now, right?
You made your point. Good job.
I made my point. I don't even think I
wait
got
a minute.
started yet.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
We need to
Bill,
bring it full circle here.
What do we do? Wait a minute. Hey, Bill, what do we do then?
There you go. Bringing it full circle. Way to go, Pete.
Why don't you guys do it?
So here's what we do. Where's this paper?
Well, use that. Here's a piece of paper.
There's a little known secret that the bankers don't want you to know about. That the attorneys
Just read the headline.
don't want you to know about. There's 7 not so common ways to buy real estate with little money, experience, or risk to fatten your wallet.
And if I had to change that again, okay? If I had to change that again, it's a flyer that I made. It would be how to buy money with a $100 deposit. I mean, how to buy properties with a $100 deposit.
I really like the flyer how you have it because see the 7 lines up and then you have the bullet points.
Yep.
The 7 bullet points.
Yep.
Do you want the 7 ways that you buy real estate released out into the open air?
No, but we could talk about a couple of them because
All right.
the ones that are the most common, right?
The most common one that I think that people should definitely start with is called the sandwich lease option transaction, the SLOT deal.
So it's an acronym.
It's an acronym.
And it's a joke that Pete and I were joking around because you put $10 in a slot machine and get $10,000 out because that's what a slot deal is like.
That's
A
pretty
sandwich lease option transaction.
That's pretty much it. And you use this offer when the seller has 0% equity. In Connecticut and after the market crash, there's a lot of properties out there that still have 0% equity.
Mm-hmm.
Most common investors throw these deals away. Why do that when you can make $5,000 to $20,000 with a $100 deposit? It doesn't even need a $100 deposit. I mean, a $10 deposit is fine.
Use $1.
You can use $1.
Mm-hmm.
And
Give him your watch.
yeah.
Give him your shoe.
You can give a Snickers candy bar for all does.
Oh, where'd you get one of those?
That does sound kind of good, doesn't it? I should have
Naomi.
said that.
Oh,
What
my
happened,
God.
Bill?
Snickers candy.
You got a
bar.
hankering for Snickers?
So I do now. Now we're supposed to go out this afternoon and file deeds and do all this shit. Now we're gonna have to stop at the damn store and get a
Get
Snickers
Snickers
bar.
I never noticed the Snicker connection for you.
Let's do a
So-
live stream of getting the Snickers bar. This is essentials,
Oh.
investor
Oh
essentials.
my God.
The real life.
I have been consciously changing my diet. I've been just trying to stay away from. I made cookies yesterday
Yeah.
Oh,
because
Bill.
of the snow. Because I just was dying for some sweets, and there's none in the house.
You have
I
to
won't
make
buy
it.
them.
You gotta get some
So I
oatmeal.
started rummaging through the cabinet, and I found my wife had some a package of just put eggs and butter in there. A whole stick of butter in there.
That's how it works.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, now
You
know,
sure
you know.
is a little tight on you today.
Listen to her.
Now you know.
Because I couldn't eat one cookie. I had like 4 of them.
Just 4? I would have had 10.
I was trying to bribe Emma with them this morning, telling her, have some cookies. The little girl wants some sweets.
What kind? What kind? We digress from it.
Oh,
What?
do
What
you
kind?
still have some
Chocolate chip.
left?
Chocolate chip.
Yeah, they're upstairs in a bag. Naomi's like,
She's ready to go.
Wait a minute, where'd Naomi go?
Right.
Well, yesterday I
Yeah.
saw 2 old bananas in the tray, and I said, "Honey, that looks like banana bread to me."
Yeah,
So
there you go.
I came home to banana muffins. They were good. Why waste 2 bananas?
Okay,
So just to
so you could use 2 bananas to buy a house too.
I
bananas.
could 2 bananas, and I could get into that and how you told your wife to make banana bread and stuff like that. But whatever.
The liberals coming back aboard.
I'm done.
The part about telling a wife to be in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant. Be careful. You're showing your age. Remember, she's younger than we are.
Young whippersnapper. Spam the
She wasn't brought up like we were.
Yeah. So to change your habits, Bill, from the cookies.
Yeah.
So you have to change your addictions.
Yeah.
So the way to develop a new addiction is in the morning, when you're the very first thing that you do, eat something healthy, and that's the best way to. The first thing you eat in the morning.
My problem is not in the morning during the day. It's at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night when I get done working.
Yeah, straight.
That's
Sit
the
down
problem.
like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways,
That's
we're
another
not here to talk
conversation.
about Bill's diet. That's a different podcast. No, wrong. that'll be one episode and it'll be 10 minutes long because there's some things I'm not changing. All right, so the point that we're making here is that if I were to, let's just do it. So if Naomi had a house that was worth $100,000
100,000.
and you owed $100,000,
Yep.
first thing we know, and we've done this so many times, but we'll just keep doing it until you get it. First thing we know is that if you sell that house, it's going to cost you between 12 and 15%.
That's right.
It's going to cost you 6% for a realtor,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Or if you don't use a realtor, it's going to be 6% for marketing, because if you don't get 100
Somebody's got
people
to do the
calling you,
marketing.
20 or 30 people through the house, you're not going to get offers.
And that 6%, I just want to clarify, because sometimes people think, okay, well, it doesn't cost as much for marketing anymore, but the time that you have to put into it,
Yep.
showing
Meeting
it,
people
and
there, yep.
fielding the calls, and on,
Totally.
like it's going to add up.
Totally.
Anyway,
So 6% for the realtor. It'll be 3% for closing costs. And that's usually, most of that, believe it or not, I have found is swapping taxes back and forth.
yeah,
So it's like they paid the taxes, now you got to pay them, or vice versa, right? But it's also, the attorney, sometimes drafting documents. It's a title search. It's all that kind of stuff. They'll charge you $30 to FedEx an envelope because something wasn't done. They screwed up and forgot to do it. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I was complaining. They screw up and forget to do it, and then last minute they got to send it FedEx, and you pay the $30. Yeah, I've been through that one about a bunch of times. So it's 3% for closing costs, so we're at 9%,
yeah,
right? I mean, just 1% is conveyance tax.
yeah.
So out of your 3%, so you got 2% left. It's not a lot of money, and it goes away fast. Okay, then you're going to have a 3% negotiating factor, or discount as we call it. I mean, how many people say, "Oh, look at this house for $199,000. I think I'll pay $250."
Right.
Now, some investors do that because they're buying at 50, 60, 70 cents on the dollar. They say it for 60, they might bid 62, 63, but they're not going to overpay what the market is worth.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. There are rare occasions where somebody might do that, but it's not the norm. Usually what happens is, they're asking $199. I'll come in at $175.
Right.
And then you start your negotiating, right? And then the invisible, they talk about how in the United States we have an invisible tax, right? It's called inflation, the invisible tax. That's how I think about this last one. It's like the invisible tax. It's the repairs. It's the
appraiser comes in and says, "Oh,
yeah,
I need to earn my $400 worth.
right.
Let's
Yeah.
see what I can find."
So we call it deferred maintenance, right? Because it's like the house could be completely functionable, but or function, is that right? Functional.
Yeah. Completely livable,
Functional.
Yeah. Livable, functional,
Yeah.
and they've
But if
they've
this
been
is
living
like
in
an inch off,
Well, they remodeled it 18 years ago. To them, it was like yesterday. Well,
So, I mean, are
yesterday.
you going to pay top dollar for a toilet that's 20 years old? Not likely.
No.
Are you going
Ew.
to pay top dollar because
Ew.
the tile on the kitchen floor looks good, but it's 1970s
Yeah.
or 1990s?
That
Right.
pink tile.
Yeah.
It's all nice and shiny and
Or even the faucet that's in the bathroom that works completely fine, but it's like 30 years old.
kind of encrusted.
And this part irritates them. Out of all the real estate things that I do and out of all the things I have to handle, this is the part that irritates me the most. And lately I just let you do it because I just get all wound up about it. It's like, okay, so I think the car business did it to us. I think that's what happened. So if you have a 1963 and a half Corvette right now, okay?
And a half.
Yeah, because in the half year, GM their stats were down. They weren't selling cars. So to catch up to the Mustang, they created a half year model. And it had a split glass window on the back. And they only made it for a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was very limited production because it was just hard to do. So, but when you bought that car originally, it was just a car. Now, because it's like so rare, okay, it's worth a fortune. I mean, I was on watching the auction the other night at the cigar shop, and they were selling them for like I think one of them did like $700,000.
A Corvair?
Corvette.
Oh, Corvette. Okay.
Corvette. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
So people think that that's like what a house is. They think because they've had it so long that they should get top dollar because it got older and it's a relic now and it's valuable and they should still. I'm serious. I'm not even joking around. I mean,
Well,
it's
you
like
usually call it a piggy bank.
yeah, that's right. It's their savings account, right? So because they feel like they got equity in it, they're coming to us and there's okay, I'm here for my withdrawal and I'll take my $30,000 now, please.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that way.
Well, like the guy we saw last week that misled me on the phone, and he paid $265 for the house. He wants it back.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
how does that work? I mean, we didn't even argue with him because he's just one of these
He
very
was-
headstrong guy. And I mean, I could have said, well, when you paid $265, how much did the other guy get in his pocket? And that
Right.
would have just he
He just
pissed
wasn't
off.
even like cognitive. Like some people you can work
No.
with them, but he was just Mr.
No, he was a business
shot.
owner. He had a shop, and he was the boss. He did what he said. You did what he said, or that's the end of it. He just made up his mind. That's what it is. He probably succeeded a lot by being bullnosed like that,
Right.
and just pushing and getting things done.
Yeah.
But good luck with the market.
Yeah. The market is the boss now.
Yeah.
I was
So-
done with him when he said, wow, my lawyer and realtor are going to talk and they're going to get me $265. They can do whatever they want. Well, how much do you want for the house? How much are they going to ask for the house? I can't tell you.
You'll find
Is
out.
You'll find out.
Like it's a secret.
Pete said, well, what happens when they put it on the market? And I go, look, well, then you'll have to wait till then. He says, I'm not telling you. Like it was a major secret, like how much he was going
Yeah.
to.
Well, it's not a
Such
secret.
a
This is what you
strange-
it's
yeah.
called advertising.
Yeah.
People like that are
No.
not, yeah.
All right, so people have houses that they that are. It's kind of like buying a 10-year-old car that's got 100,000 miles on it that runs fine, looks fine, but it's not a brand new car.
Exactly.
But they're asking the brand new car price.
Exactly.
It's like the brand new car is $35,000, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I want $35,000 for this house."
That's what I put into it.
That's yeah,
And it still runs.
exactly.
I mean, hey.
That's right.
But you had a great response to one of the houses in Newington. I remember the street, but it was the guy was sitting in the kitchen, and they had divorced, and there was two houses. She was in Danbury somewhere, and that house was just dated, and he was asking a certain amount that was like kind of the realtor price if it was fixed after renovated.
Yeah.
And you said something to him like, so if you walked into the house and just looked at it yourself like it wasn't your house, what would you think? He
What would you
goes,
pay?
Yeah, well, yeah. What would you pay? He goes,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. I see your point. It needs renovating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he saw it from a different viewpoint of if this wasn't.
Getting them
So
into
that was a
the
good
other.
question.
Yeah.
So anyways, the point is that we use 3%. So if you do 6% for the realtor, 3% for closing costs, 3% for negotiating, and then 3% for deferred maintenance,
Right.
right? You're at 15%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy.
And let me tell you something. The 3% for closing has snuck up. It's not 3% anymore. And you have brought it to my point because the last few houses that we were because Naomi's a realtor, not an active realtor. You have a license, but you just work with us, or we work together. Actually, lately I work with her. It's more like it.
Last week I was her chauffeur.
Yeah, there you go. It's really easy
what
to
a
be
great chauffeur you were.
I was good.
It's
I
very
thought
easy to be Naomi.
She's just working away on the phone.
Yeah, it's very easy. She don't talk to you. She don't do nothing. She puts her earphones in and she's texting and calling and doing whatever. And it's like, we're almost here. Okay, she'll go. She shakes her head. Okay,
mobile office.
Totally. Anyway, so that's the 15%. Okay, so we went off on a whole tangent on that. So if you have a $100,000 house, okay, and you need to sell it, if you're going to do it conventionally, the way these guys are talking about with, where's my paper here? The conventional way that we're talking about, it's going to cost you 15% to sell a house. But most people don't know that. And the reason why most people don't know that is because the realtor doesn't tell them up front.
Right.
Well, he's not in charge of that part of it. He's just charged. What I noticed working with you is all the people involved are just in charge of their part.
Right.
They're not in charge of the whole process.
Right.
You think somebody's going to help you, like the realtor is in charge of everything? They're not. Right. You're in charge of everything. So when you don't know all these things, you don't know all these things.
Exactly. And there's two other things that I wonder might be missing.
Can you hold that for a second?
Oh, sure. Yep.
So I want to elaborate on what Peter's saying because it's huge. It's huge, huge.
I said something
so let's go back to you said something huge.
So the realtor, let's break it down. The realtor is the marketing person. They're there to find you the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
The banker brings the money.
Mm-hmm.
The attorney brings the documents.
Mm-hmm.
The insurance guy brings the insurance disclosure or saying, yeah, we're covered once you buy it, right?
Yeah.
And the title company brings the search saying that, yeah, we'll insure this title because we checked it out.
Right.
The problem with our society is most people think that when they hire a realtor, they're hiring a consultant to run all those facets. So what you're saying is so huge because, let's do it again, the realtor brings the buyer. They go find the buyer. They do it on the MLS. They do a shitty job of it these days because of electronics. They were much better at it before.
Yeah.
But nowadays with computers, they just kind of like put on the MLS and hope somebody finds it. But the realtor brings the buyer. The banker brings the money, right? The attorney brings the documents, right?
Mm-hmm.
The insurance guy brings the policy. And the title guy brings the search saying, yeah, we searched it, and yeah, we can insure it. So if something happens or something gets screwed up, we can insure the title.
Yeah. And no one's the boss of any of that.
Right.
And no one cares.
You are.
Yeah, well, none of those people are.
You are, but you don't know that you are.
Yeah. Should write a book.
Right? I mean, think about it. You are. So that's why I put in number 4, did you spend about $30,000 on your training to flip houses? Because you're in charge of all that and don't even know it.
Yeah.
You have to orchestrate, and part of being in charge of that and orchestrating it is that you got to know what are the next steps. So you have to call the attorney up and say, well, we're doing a closing on Friday. Did you do this and did you do that? Right? Or the insurance guy, hey, I'm closing on Thursday. I need the policy drafted by Thursday morning at 10 so I can, or by Friday night at 5 or whatever, so I can look at it to make sure it's going to pass the closing, like it's going to be sufficient for the closing. Right? The worst part of all this is the attorney is in charge of the documents. One of the documents they're in charge of is a thing that they call the settlement statement, which most people know as the HUD statement, because that's what HUD used to do. HUD was, I think, the one that invented it. I'm not sure, but the point is they brought the settlement statement. So the settlement statement is okay, we have a buyer, we have a seller. Each is getting money. So what are their obligations in this closing?
Mm-hmm.
So who's bringing the money? Who's getting the money? How is the money being divided? That's your settlement statement. It's literally a line down the middle of the page. On the left side is the buyer. On the right side is the seller, or vice versa. Okay. And they're like, okay, this one gets that much money. This one gets that much money, and all the money. And the only reason for that settlement statement is to balance the money. It's the only reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Well, that sounds like a good idea, but you only find out at the very end, huh?
What happens is because most, at least in my area, most attorneys have paralegals that do most of the work. They don't even look at the file till the day, and sometimes not even till like the day of the closing. So what happens is the settlement statements don't get produced until usually the day of the sale because they're rushing around trying to get the sale done. And if they're really good, which is very, very seldom for me, a few days before the sale, you'll see the settlement statement.
Mm-hmm.
That is the first time the seller and the buyer actually know how much money they're getting or giving. The exact amount, because it needs to be balanced.
Yeah.
So here's the point that I'm trying to make, that I'm elaborating on, that's so important, is because nobody's in charge. You're in charge of the sale. You're in charge of making sure the realtor brings the buyer. You're in charge of making sure the banker brings the money. You're in charge of making sure the attorney brings the documents and they're correct. You're in charge of making sure that the insurance guy wrote the right policy and it's going to cover the edifice and the property and all the liabilities. You're in charge of making sure the title company did their title search and they'll insure you so that later on, 20 years from now, you don't have a lawsuit saying that your paperwork's wrong because the attorney didn't do it right. You're in charge of that. This is the first time, and when somebody sells a house, they don't know they're in charge of all that. They don't know that. So they're expecting the realtor to do all that for them. And the realtor doesn't know how to do that. They're not trained to do that. They're not. Their job is to bring the buyer, not be a consultant. So going back to this deal that we're talking about with Naomi that we keep getting diverted on, you don't know how much money you're getting until you get to the end of the closing. So you might be working on this deal for 3 months or 2 months or 50 days, and you don't. And so you're negotiated. So they call up. Here's how it goes. So you call up and say, "I have a student that's going through this right now. Okay, they're selling a house for $229. They want to pay $215. They start negotiating. Okay, so the first thing I tell her is okay. Well, we got to hold steadfast hard on negotiating, because this is the first round of negotiation.
Yeah.
Because you're going to negotiate the price. So there's our 3%.
Yep.
Then we sell on a price. We write a purchase and sales contract. The purchase and sales contract now goes to the attorney, so they can start. Now the purchase and sales contract is a draft of how the closing is going to proceed. Right? It's like the roadmap.
Yeah.
Okay? So now the attorney can start working on it, which he's probably not going to do. The only thing he's probably going to do, if he's a buyer, if you're buying, he's going to do a title search, make sure that, but other than that, he's going to wait till what? The banker brings the money to the table and says, okay, we're ready. We got the money. Let's go. So they're not going to do crap with it until the banker says, we're ready. Okay, I got the bag of cash. Here we go. Okay?
Yep.
At that point, now the documents start get drafting. So you're going to go through this whole process as a seller, maybe for months, because the banker's got to get all his paperwork and his mortgages, and they got to get, pay stubs, and it's got to go through underwriting, and they got to do all this stuff to make sure the money's good. Right?
Yep.
Plus they got to get their inspections. Plus they got to get the insurance stuff. I mean, all this stuff has to be done, and it takes, sometimes 60 days. Okay? All this time you're doing all this work. Now, that's a lot of work. I've done a lot of closings. That's a lot of work. It consumes a lot of time. And nobody's told you how much money you're going to net.
I have no idea.
Have no idea until you get to the settlement statement, which is usually a day or the day before, the day of. And I can't tell you, I've done, I don't even know how many closings, a lot of freaking closings. And I will pay somebody $10,000 right now if they can show me how to get the exact number that the settlement statement is going to say on my transactions. I'm always off. I think I'm getting 20 grand. It comes in at 16 grand. I think I'm getting 16 grand. It comes in at 20 grand.
You just never know.
There are nuances. It depends on the city. And what's going on over there, sweetheart? Is there somebody in there? Is that you doing that? Typing? I just see things moving around on the screen. It looked like somebody asked a question.
In the middle there?
Yeah.
Do you want to read that, Naomi, or shall I?
Yeah, I can. So John says, I've been approached by 2 of my clients, both with $850,000 and $900,000 homes. One is on the MLS, and after 2 weeks has dropped 40,000, I'm guessing. Not 400,000. 40,000. The other is debating whether to sell or renovate. They both have money and are not desperate but are motivated. Is slot deal the best to approach in these instances? They seem to just want the process to be handled. No homeowner financing or long monthly payoff. So, if they don't want the monthly payoff.
All right, so hang on. Let's just finish going through the slot deal. What's his name, John?
John.
So
yeah.
before we stop, John, I will answer your question. I just don't. I think we got off on a tangent here, and the reason why, it's not even a tangent. I fully want you to understand what a slot deal is. So basically, if you have $100,000 house and it's worth $100,000, you can't sell it for $100,000 because of all the stuff we're talking about. The closings, you don't even know how much money you're going to get until 60 days down the road. So you say, I owe $100,000, right? How much are they going to bring to the table? So most people think, are you going to bring $100,000 minus the 6%? Well, I'll bring the $6,000 to the table, to the closing table, and I'll buy the house. But it's not $6,000; it's $15,000, or $18,000, or $13,000. You don't know until you get to the closing.
Yep.
Right?
But it's definitely not 6.
It's not 6. So Naomi has this house for $100,000, worth $100,000.
Right.
And she needs to sell it because she's got a new job, or I don't know, whatever.
I've got
A
to
bunch
sell
of
it.
reasons, right? Getting divorced, whatever the reasons are, right? So it's worth $100,000. I come along to say to her, okay, and John, this is an answer to your question. I say to her, if I sell you, if I give you $100,000, will you sell me that house today?
I sure will.
Why? Because nobody else is going to give her $100,000 for that house. Absolutely nobody else. Even if they gave her $100,000, she's not getting $100,000 because there's 15% that's going to get gobbled up and all these other fees.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
I say to her, Naomi, I could buy your house for $100,000. So I say to her, let's do it the right way. So I say to her, if I give you a $100,000 house, $100,000 for your house, will you sell my house? You say yes.
Yes.
And this is magical. These words, you should write these words
Pay
down
attention.
because this is how it works. Okay, here's how I can do it. That's it. Here's how it works. Anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let me explain how it works. Okay?
And how does that work?
So basically what I'm doing is I'm going to sign a one-page document, okay, that says that Naomi and I have agreed on $100,000. And if I bring her a buyer within the next 24 months, she'll close on the deal with me for $100,000. Okay? So now I say, okay, we write up this document, and she agrees to it. We sign it. I give her a $100 deposit so that we can consummate the deal. Now I go find Peter, who's really having a rough time of it because him and his wife are married their second time around, right? His first divorce kind of kicked his ass a little bit.
I'm sorry.
In the middle of all of it, he lost his job and he was without work for a little while. and he's back to work and he's making money, but there was a period there of during a year it was really rough. It kicked his ass on his credit score. Doesn't know how to fix his credit score. He met his new wife. He's got kids. They're happy. They've been together for a year, but he's got this black smudge on his life. Okay? He says that his new wife, wants the kids to be in the school system that you're in. So he needs to find a house in the neighborhood or not part of town. So I say to him, Peter, I got this house for sale. It's $110,000. You need $10,000 down. Now I'm using fictitious numbers here, obviously, but just get the point.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, well, I got $10,000.
Yep.
How much are the mortgage payments? Naomi, how much are your mortgage payments?
They're $700 a month.
Okay. So I say to him, they're $700 a month. Which, by the way, when Naomi say, watch this. This is another magical thing, okay? Naomi, how much are your payments a month?
$700.
Okay, so that's how much I'm going to pay each month, okay?
Okay.
See how that works? I just negotiated the payment.
Yeah.
And if she says to me, oh, that's not enough, I want to make a profit, I say to her, okay, how much? And then you just negotiate the profit.
Right.
That's how you figure out the payments, okay? So I go to Peter and I say, you got to give me $10,000 down, and your payments are $700 a month. I'm going to give you a 24-month period to fix your credit and get your shit together so that you can get a mortgage and pay off the house.
Mm-hmm.
And you agree.
Mm-hmm.
Now watch this. Oh, this is so beautiful. America is such a beautiful country. And I'm not even kidding. I'm
God
telling you,
bless America.
it is honest to God. It is such a wonderful country. I bought that option agreement from Naomi for $100.
Mm-hmm.
I just sold it to you for $10,000. All I did was take that option agreement I wrote from Naomi and I assigned it to you, and you gave me a $10,000 non-refundable deposit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you didn't sell me the house.
I sold you the contract.
The contract, the paperwork.
So in Naomi's particular case, we signed an option agreement on the equity. In her case, there was no equity, so I developed the equity, because the definition of equity is the difference between what you're getting at the closing and how much you owe. Not how much the house is worth, but how much you're getting at the closing. So in this particular case, at the closing, you're paying me $110,000. You're giving me a $10,000 deposit, so that's my equity, because you brought $10,000. You paid $110,000, came to the closing table, signed the documents, gave me a $10,000 deposit.
Yep.
By the way, that $10,000 went into HIP National Bank, which is my pocket. Okay, and there you go.
Yep. And the owner still gets their $100,000 that they wanted down the road.
She
That's
gets
right.
to move to her new job or wherever she was going or whatever was going on. We just bought a house, a 2-family house. It was the craziest thing in the world, because they were divorced, had been divorced for a couple of years, and can't stand talking to one another. And she was like, I don't care. She was basically, I don't care what we got to do. I don't want to talk to him no more. I'm
Yeah.
done.
It's probably, can I say, a third of the value.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
is what we.
Oh yeah, the numbers. Yeah,
Yeah.
we paid That's
A third of the
$150,000
current-
house. We
not-
paid $58,000.
Not the after repair value, the current value. It was
Yeah, so it's worth $150,000 the way it sits,
Yep.
and we paid $58,000.
Yep.
Okay, so now we paid for that house. This is not the deal we're
Yeah.
talking about. So here's my question to end off. Okay, so Naomi, when I talked to you, did I need a realtor?
No, you didn't,
And how come?
because the deal was between the owner and you. I mean, for a lot of different reasons. What
Okay.
answer are you looking for?
No, I'm looking for the right answer. But people are going to ask, do you need to have a license?
No.
No, because what happens is that you
purchase
what I
the
did is I bought equity. I bought an option into your equity, just like a
Exactly.
stock market. You're buying options for whatever, right? Hoping the price will go up, right? So you're buying that, that call or that, that put or whatever you want to call it. But the point is you're buying the potential of it going up,
Exactly.
right? So I bought equity in your house. So you and I became equity partners. And because I am now an equity partner with that option agreement, I do not need a license.
Exactly.
So I didn't need a realtor. I didn't need anybody to find the buyer either. I was able to go find the buyer, so I don't need a realtor. Did I need the banker? Not for $100. If you need to go borrow money from $100 in the bank,
Then
you're
just use for
listening to the wrong
$10.
podcast. You're listening to the wrong podcast. Yeah, use
no,
a dollar.
You just use a dollar. Go cash in
Okay.
some.
Did I need an attorney? No.
No.
Documents I use, I've been using for 10 years, over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm going to
They've
tell you
been
how to get those in
tested.
a minute. Did I need insurance? No. You already have insurance on the property.
Correct.
I don't need to change it. Okay? And do I need a title company? No, we didn't change titles yet.
Right.
Right? So
So there you go.
why don't you know about this? Because if too many people did real estate like this, what would happen to the realtor? What would happen to the banker? What would happen to the attorney? What would happen to the insurance guy? What would happen to the title company?
The loss of
Some of
yeah.
them would, the realtor and the banker, the realtor and the attorney probably would go away. Most of them, like my attorney, that's all he does is real estate. Right?
Right.
The banker would definitely get hurt by that. I traveled the country for 6 years, 40 weeks a year. I've been in every state, every city and every state in this country multiple times. And I noticed one day the biggest building in every company in every
In every city.
city had a bank name on
It's
it.
the bank.
Because they lend you money at 3 times the value. You buy a $100,000 house, and by the time you get done, at 30 years, you've paid almost $300,000 for that house. It's insidious. It's like, and they ingrain us since school, very elementary level school. To be a real estate investor, you have to have a 700 credit score, right? So you can go borrow money from the banker.
Yeah.
You have to have 20% down.
Yeah.
Right now, some might protest that because you can buy houses with FHA and all that kind of stuff and only have 3% down.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
if you're going to live in it.
Exactly.
As soon as you become an investor, they want 20% down.
Yeah.
Even hard money lenders are doing that now.
Yeah.
They want 20% down because they want skin in the game. Because, see, here's the problem. The guy with the money, he's the most fearful cat in our society. He's afraid that he is going to not get paid back. Which, by the way, when I say he's fearful, it's analytical fear. It's conservatism. It's analytical fear. Mm-hmm. He's afraid that he is not going to get paid back. Right. So what he's trying to do is protect himself from get his money back. So if you got a 700 credit score, that's a record saying, well, you pay your bills. So it shows your character. Right? The 20% down says you got skin in the game, so you won't lose money. So he's like, well, he's got skin in the game, so he'll be forced to make my payment first. Right? Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So when you say, can you pass the real estate investor test? That's what I'm talking about.
So are you going
I was on a tangent this morning, I guess, huh?
No, I thought it was, the examples were very pertinent. I'm just wondering if you need to come up with a new test for what we need people to be.
This is the traditional real, investor.
I'm not kidding. To do things the way
so what we need to
buyer does.
What we need to do is, I asked, the question was, can you pass this real estate investor test?
Mm-hmm.
The test we have to make is can you pass this professional home buyer test?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's two different
We can do
things.
that. I can do that.
Yeah. That's what people are losing the idea that that's the right way to do it. So now let's get the other way, which we've been
There's multiple
banging on for 87 episodes.
Right. Okay, so let's get out of here because it's now 1 hour and 57 seconds.
Nice.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you a couple URLs, so grab some paper and pencil. There's a question? Oh, what, John? Oh, yes, that's right. John, I almost forgot about your question. Okay, so John, read the last sentence. What does it say? They seem to
just want the process to be handled. No homeowner financing or long monthly payment.
All right, so
it's not a terms purchase then.
So a terms purchase, we've been going through this over and over and over in our business, in my business. A terms purchase means they'll take payments until they get cashed out. Or they'll accept payments until we can buy them off or pay them off. Okay? So it's not a slot deal because they're not willing to wait 2 years in payments and for Pete to pay off Naomi. Mm-hmm. So what I would do, John, is I would just use a straight option agreement, okay, which means that you can sign on with them for 90 days, okay, and act much like a realtor. You'll give them you'll agree on a price, just like we did with Naomi for the $100,000. Now, I prefer when you use an option, you have about a 10% equity share. So in this particular case with Naomi, if it was a $100,000 house, I would negotiate with her $90,000.
Yeah.
Reason why is you want to have some sort of market advantage to go and sell the property.
You're working with a different market.
Yeah.
You're selling cash in this situation. So
exactly.
You can't inflate the price.
Because you're competing with the realtors and every other property out there that's fighting over that 19%.
Right. So what you're going to do is act much like the realtor, except the difference is the realtor is going to ask for 60 days to sell the house. 6 months to sell the house. You're going to ask for 90 days, and then you're going to do some serious marketing. Okay. Now, John, I hate to do this to you because there's so many other facets that were going on. Like, how do you find your buyer, and how do you do the paperwork, and all these things you're going to ask because they're just questions that naturally come up. So if you go to flippinghouses.com, flippinghouses4rookies.com, John, there's a course on there called How to Buy Real Estate Without a Loan. Okay? And it has everything you need to do this deal and deals like what you're talking about. It shows you how to find the leads. It shows you how to negotiate the leads. It shows you how not to overpay for the leads. Overpay for the houses, how to do all the paperwork. It shows you how to sell them. It shows you how to find the buyers. It's the whole system.
The documents that you need as well, correct?
Right.
Yeah. All the documents.
Or if you want, John, what you could do, so you understand, is this is brand new. I just did this yesterday, which is the link that I was going to tell you about. You should go to flippinghouses.club. Now, that's a different URL than the first one. The first one was flippinghouses4rookies.com. That's the new website. We're going to switch over to that, and that's going to be where everything's going to be at here in another month. But if you go to flippinghouses.club/case study, Okay, flippinghouses.club/case study. Emma followed me around on a deal that I did, and we documented it step by step. Now, it took us days and days and days to do it, but they're 2-minute clips of each step that I did, all put into a 33-minute video. Okay, so you can see exactly how I did the steps and exactly how I did the deal. Okay, we keeping you awake?
You totally caught me in it, like this yawn,
Yeah.
like.
Her eyes are glossed over and they're cheered up and bloodshot, and I'm like, what the hell happened to Naomi? We gotta go drinking this afternoon.
I think she's a chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah. All right, so go to flippinghouses.club case study, and I will show you how I put a deal together using $100 and all the pieces and the parts. Okay, John? So I think you have enough, so you can go to flippinghouses.club/case study. Just go there. Forget about the other one. Just go there, and you'll find what you're looking for. Okay? And just because we were talking about lease options today, I want to give one more URL. I know I'm giving a lot of information here, but I want to give one more URL. And that URL is flippinghouses.club lease options. Is it lease option explained? Yeah, so it's singular. So it's flippinghouses.club lease option explained. This is the document that Naomi sends our sellers when they ask us what is a lease option. It's a 5-page document that has her name on it. So if you're going to use it, you have to print it and retype the last page, or because it's in a PDF document, or change the PDF document. I'm not doing that for you. It's called its URL is flippinghouses.club/lease option explained. It's a 5-page report that we give our prospects when we're talking about doing a lease option that explains how the lease option works. And it has frequently asked questions on there that they most often ask us.
It's such a good document.
It is amazing. And we've only had that for a few weeks. So just go to flippinghouses.club/lease option explain. Okay? So the two URLs you should take from today, just because I'm babbling here and you guys are probably driving and shit. So the two URLs are flippinghouses.club/lease options explain. Yep, so it's Emma's correcting me. So it's flippinghouses.club/lease option explain. Or the other one is flippinghouses.club/case study. Those are the two URLs you should go look at. They're both brand new. They've been developed over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and you're going to fully enjoy them. The case study is amazing. Emma did a phenomenal job following me around and getting this data. So you're going to really, really enjoy it. It's like I said, it took us some time to do it because we had to let the deal, evolve. But I take you all the way from finding the lead to buying the house, to going to the town hall and filing the deed, to marketing the house and selling the house and the whole 9 yards, all the way to where we got a $10,000 check. Okay, so everything's there in a 33-minute video. Okay? She took the screen down. How many minutes is it? 7 minutes. We went 7 minutes over, Pete. That's better.
Okay.
That's better. Pete wants to do the shows in 60 minutes. So here we go. So with that said, we're over and out. We are going to... did I answer John's question? Everything's good? There's no other questions? All right, we are going to go over to Flipping Houses on... Yeah. Bleh, I got that on the brain. We're going to go over to Facebook on Finding Deals section. So if you go to Facebook and you type in Finding Deals, that's a closed Facebook group that people pay for. And we are going to go in there and do some coaching 101 and help them out for the next 20 minutes or so. And then we are going to go have lunch and then go file some Ds.
There we go.
Over and out. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.